What's it like coming back? A lot of emotions coming back here to Alabama for College Game Day. It's only your third show, but how special is it to come back to your alma mater?
Well, I think any time that you come back to a place that holds great memories for you, that really helped you establish a foundation for what you wanted to pursue in life, it's special and it's great. And you see, you see either people who had an influence on you or have a connection to someone who had an influence on you, and it's always good to feel like you're in a familiar place. So it's nice to be here.
And how much has especially the communications department and stuff, how has it changed since you've been here?
Immensely. We didn't have our own digital studio, I'll tell you that. We had I don't know, cardboard pieces or something, I don't know, cardboard things that we had to put letters on to be able to put the credits on at the end of shows. It was a tedious and frustrating and not very rewarding way to do things, but it was the way things were done back then. And it was really at the time when I think TV and broadcasting cable was really starting to take off. So the biggest difference I see is the technology. It's so different. I mean, the cameras that I see that you guys are using right now, we use cameras that were dinosaurs. Now, as you can't imagine, it took like a hand truck to carry them around and stuff. So, and this notion that you guys are probably recording on something digitally right now, we had separate tape decks that we had to lug around with us, and they didn't work very well, and the editing was awful, and but the teaching was great. So I think the biggest difference I see is the advance in technology, but certainly the fundamentals of journalism, of news gathering, of telling stories remain the same, and I feel like I got a really good background in that here.
And now let's talk a little football. What have you seen from Alabama so far this season, specifically the quarterback play with Cooper Bateman and Jay Coker?
Well, I mean, that's been the question mark in the preseason, and I thought that I didn't really see much. I've watched tape cut-ups at the end of last week, but I didn't see a lot of the game live. Wisconsin game, I thought they both played very, very well. Coker is a really talented thrower. He just hasn't been able to break through in terms of winning the job yet, either at Florida State or here, but he's a really talented guy, and Bateman's an exceptional athlete for the position, so he brings a little bit of a different dynamic to it. But I think both guys need experience, and this is a huge opportunity, and it will be a huge test for both of them on Saturday night against a really good team.
And you talk about that really good team, Ole Miss. I mean, that offense has been putting up 70 points. Yes, the opponents haven't, been very good, but what have you seen from Ole Miss so far, and what do you expect?
If it were easy to score 70 points against bad teams, everybody would do it, and nobody has except them. And it's been an impressive thing. They've got a ton of weapons, and Chad Kelly, their quarterback, has played exceptionally well through 2 games. It is fair to point out and true that he hasn't seen a defense anything like he will see Saturday night, but I think it's probably also true to say that Alabama's defense hasn't seen a quarterback with his skill set nor with as many weapons as he'll bring out there. So it really sets the stage for a great game Saturday night, and that's why we're here for Saturday morning too.
And that game Saturday night, do you have a prediction, or what's your thoughts so far on Saturday?
How fast do you think that this could get to the Ole Miss website? I'm not making any predictions on this thing. Now I'll tell you this. If you want to see a prediction, wait till you see what Corso's got cooked up for Saturday morning right at the end of the game day. That'll be a prediction.
Do you guys know who the guest picker is so far?
Yes, Eric Church.
I know, y'all. Everybody said he wasn't going to be the guest picker. I was like, why would he be here?
Yeah, Eric Church, yeah.
I won't ask you for a prediction, just your thoughts on the game overall, Alabama versus Ole Miss.
I think that if you have grown up in the South and seen the disparity in the history of the two programs, it's hard to wrap your head around the fact that Ole Miss is really good and that Ole Miss has a ton of NFL caliber players that will be picked early in the draft on that team. And because of that, this is not the same old Ole Miss come in, underdog, scrappy, try to catch you unaware and knock you off that maybe a lot of people of an earlier generation are accustomed to. This is a legitimately strong football team. It's one that I think we've undervalued in the preseason because they got their tails kicked by TCU, and they did. They got smashed. So I think because of that, the natural inclination was to downgrade them a little bit. This is a really talented team that has some experience in most all places except quarterback, and I think that when you combine that aspect with Alabama, in my judgment, having the best front seven in college football and the deepest one for sure. I mean, I'm not saying every single player is better than every other player someplace else. They probably don't have someone as dominant as Joey Bosa at Ohio State, for instance. But in terms of depth and versatility, I think that their front seven on defense is as good as it gets, and certainly they've got two really explosive running backs. So I think what you'll see Saturday night, huge amount of talent on the field. A game that the SEC needs after kind of getting kicked in the gut a little bit last weekend. The SEC needs a high-profile game between two national contenders, and to see it be a well-played, exciting game.
Alabama.
Energy, excitement, understanding of how to develop players and to turn them into winners. And I think mainly the program needed some energy and enthusiasm, and I say that with a great deal of respect for Anthony Grant, who I like very much, and I still think he's an excellent coach. I'm surprised it didn't work out here, but the program needed a big shot of adrenaline, and Avery is nothing if not a big shot of adrenaline. And being able to have the experience that he has in the league, and to be able to use that in recruiting, and to use that on the floor, and to kind of maybe generate a more entertaining style of play in terms of playing a little faster. And that might take a while because you have to have good players to play fast. If you play fast with players who aren't quite as good, you're going to get run out. So but Avery, I think, will bring a lot of energy and some excitement to campus about the program, and I think it's something that was needed.
I just have one question.
Yes.
What kind of inspired you to choose this career choice?
I always wanted to do it, but I sort of thought it would come at the end of a long and glorious playing career, and things didn't really work out that way. I always say that my talent ran out after high school, although all of my high school teammates would tell you it ran out a long time before that. So, I've wanted to do this for a long time. I wrote a paper about it when I was, I think, a freshman in high school. So I've always sort of been not only infatuated with the games themselves, which was always my first love, but also the telling of the story of the games. I was one of those kids who, before every game was on television, I would try to twist the radio dial just right so I could pick up the faraway games on Saturday nights. That was what I did, and so I've always loved that, and it was something I've always wanted to do.